Yesterday wasn't a great day. I've posted about this here before a while back, but it's come to a head and I'm ready to make an ultimatum. My wife has been wanting a fourth child for a while now, but I'd rather not. I told her I would hold off on a vasectomy to see if my feelings changed. Another child means the world to her, so I'm trying to get there, but it's been a year and a half now and my feelings haven't changed much. I know it's been agonizing and horrible for her, so I feel terrible about it. She has anxiety and a traumatic childhood still affects her today. My wife basically stayed in our room all day Sunday because she was upset with me for making her wait on my decision to have a child or not. I told her it didn't feel good that she abandons me with the kids, dogs, cleaning and cooking all day while she sulks. She said that she has a mental illness, anxiety, so she just can't handle doing normal things throughout the day when she feels like this. I'm not sure that's fair though. Later on, she said she was going to run away because she was going crazy and didn't know what to do. She pulled clothes out of the drawers but just ended up folding them up again. Later on, she said that if I keep her fourth child from her, she's going to make my life hell, that she's going to yell at me in front of the kids, and that she's going to keep me up all night bugging me about this. She never ended up doing these things. I feel like she just can't stop making empty threats. I think because of her emotional dysregulation. She also had a fit later in the day where she stomped her feet, yelled, and was shaking while she said, "I'm not waiting any longer than today. It's going to be a yes. It's going to be a yes," about my decision to have a kid with her. We were also able to talk relatively calmly about how much this meant to her. I have been wondering lately if I'm thinking too much about numbers and statistics, and maybe I should go for it, because I really love my 3 kids. But I just feel like I can't agree in these circumstances. If she would have just been kind about it since the beginning, she probably would have had a kid by now, but it's always been tense and angry. She's really a great person and a great mom 95% of the time, interspersed with moments of complete childishness and anger and losing her mind. It's such a weird thing to see such a different person at times like these. I almost gave in but decided to let it sit, and today, I just feel like giving her the ultimatum that she goes to couples therapy or absolutely no more children. She doesn't believe a therapist will help us at all, so she refuses. She says I don't love her enough or else I would see her suffering and give in. I don't know if she's right about that or not, and it makes me feel bad. I also told her that you don't tell someone you love that you're going to make their life hell. I do expect her to change and I don't want to be yelled at anymore. I've put everything into this marriage and I think it could work, but I feel unsafe from her freakouts. I want to make the best decision for my kids and I want her to feel whole, but I just don't think it's possible to have a kid under these circumstances. She says that when I bring up her behavior as one of the main reasons why I don't want to have another kid, she feels like I'm beating her down and she has no self-respect or dignity left. She said she wonders if she's being emotionally abused by me now. Am I right to give her an ultimatum on the therapy? I really believe a therapist won't change her intense need for a fourth child, so is it even worth going? I feel like we could make things work with a fourth child, and that would save my other children the trauma of a possible divorce or unhealthy parent relationship. She did promise to go to couples therapy every month if I would have a child with her now. I've stated some pretty bad behaviors of my wife above, but really, otherwise she's so nice. We have fun, great sex, take parenting classes together, love hanging out together. That's like 95% of our time together, and the other 5% is Mr. Hyde. I want to do this for her and our family and spare my children some life trauma, but not under these circumstances of threats, silent treatment, yelling, etc. What would you do? ETA, since a few people have mentioned it, she has actually been seeing a therapist bi-weekly for almost a decade, but I have my doubts that it's working well. I've recently been trying to get her to see a psychologist, but she's been refusing and telling me I'm being controlling, so I've dropped it. Also, she is Mormon and lives in Utah. There's a lot of societal pressure to have lots of kids to look good, and this could definitely play a part. Interesting update. Hi everyone. First, I would like to say thank you to everyone who commented on my other post. I really appreciate it. It gave me the support I needed to stand firm. I read every comment, but I don't have time to respond to each one. I spoke with my wife last night before bed and asked her if she is able to talk about what happened on Sunday. She said she didn't really want to, but okay. I asked her if she had apologized to the kids for yelling at them and told them that it was wrong, and she said she had, but she needed to talk with them more, so she was going to do that the next day, today. Then I just told her that I love her and that I want us to grow old together and have a healthy and happy marriage. Then I told her that some of her behavior yesterday was scary and I think she might have something deeper going on. I asked her if she would consider calling her doctor and running some tests for postpartum or hormone levels. At this point, she just turned her head to the wall and wouldn't look at me. She said, "No, she's not willing to do that." I asked her what she thought about going to her therapist for 7 to 8 years, twice a month. In my other post I thought it was a bit longer but confirmed the time frame with her, and she still was unhappy with life most days and her anxiety was still overpowering. She said that therapy is a lifelong thing. I asked her if she would be willing to meet with someone else who might have different tools to help her. She said no, she's not willing to do that, and that I was invading her privacy. At this point, I told her that I don't want to control her and that it's her choice, but there's no way I'm having another child until she gets well and healthy. At this point, I brought up the screaming, stomping feet, and threats that she gave me yesterday. She didn't acknowledge the behavior but told me, "We're done, this is broken. We can raise these kids together, act cordial, but we're done. We keep hurting each other and we don't understand each other." I said that I would like to make things work and maybe a couples therapist could help us communicate and understand each other better. She said that she doesn't want to see anyone about anything and we're just done. I didn't mention divorce, she said, because I've told her in the past to never threaten divorce again, but this is just how it is now. I didn't know what to say, so I just left it at that. This morning she avoided looking at me and gave me one-word answers to things. There's no way I would be in a loveless marriage, and I know that's not good for the kids. I don't know exactly what to do, but my plan for now is to wait it out. How long? I don't know. I'll see if things change in a week or two. One thing is for sure though, I'm not having a kid in these circumstances, and I'm not budging on that. Just to address a few common comments on my last post. I'm seeing 2 individual therapists and have been for a few months now. They haven't mentioned abusive behavior, so I hadn't thought much about it until now. One of my therapists responded when I basically texted her exactly what I posted here with the following: "It sounds like things are very rough right now. The threats are a very negative development. The tantrums are not a signifier of positive mental health. I would be wary of giving her an answer you are not being honest about. Thanks for the update and I hope this helps." I'll keep saying both therapists for now and get their takes on what to do from here. My wife grew up with a toxic mom who yelled a lot and still acts like a child. I think my wife had mirrored this behavior even though she has consciously been trying to stop this behavior for years. I need to figure out what to do with the kids. We can't keep fighting and showing them a bad relationship. I think they're pretty safe for now. My wife yelled at them on Sunday, but this is very rare that she would do that. She's worked very hard over the last few years to have more patience and not turn to anger with them. I have wondered if my wife had BPD for a while, and I've tried to get her to a psychologist or psychiatrist without luck, and DBT therapy with no luck. I didn't end up giving ultimatums about therapy or a vasectomy for now. I think ultimatums may not be helpful very often, and it doesn't seem like anything would change in this case. I'm going to take a kind but firm stance for a couple weeks and shut down any manipulation or abuse attempts as they come. I'm sure she's been seeing a therapist. I've heard her voice and answer the phone call with my wife when my wife does the telehealth with her sometimes. She's not Mormon and seems very progressive from what my wife tells me. She's very LGBT friendly and has helped my wife work through her view of LGBT people for the good if we do have sex, and that's a big if at this point. I will only be using condoms, never going inside even with a condom, and I'll be washing it out before throwing it away. Not exactly a turn on, so who knows if I'll have sex for a long time, but not a big deal. There's bigger things to worry about. Okay, next interesting story. M42 caught wife F42 texting another guy again. M42 caught my wife F42 engaging in a text conversations with a man who previously had an overt interest in her. She volunteers with several groups, and this guy happens to be a member of one of them. Last year, she mentioned that one of the other members of the group noticed he seemed to be interested in her because it was apparently that obvious. He was constantly trying to hug her or have physical contact. She also would occasionally take the kids to volunteer and wore a ring, so obviously she's attaché/partnered. She claimed not to notice and brushed it off until the point he asked her out on date, which she declined. She then mentioned it a lot when she got home and over the next few weeks. In January I had to travel for work and was gone for a month. I jokingly mentioned if this guy finds out he's gonna try his luck. Which happened, of course. I was gone a week when she started getting messages asking if she needed anything, etc. At that point, as far as I was concerned, he crossed a boundary, and I told my wife that she should have no contact with this guy since he was trying to sneak in the back. She seemed to agree and said she was going to let some other people at the group know. Fast forward to September of this year, and we had hit a rocky patch the previous few months. There had been talks of separation. Both of us had daughters counseling and had been talking to friends. I leave again in August and we barely talk due to my schedule. It's mostly texts and a few phone conversations. Things still aren't great, but we are moving along. I return in mid-September and it seems to have gotten a lot more contentious. Fighting every day about everything. There is zero intimacy of any kind. Her birthday rolls around and we take a day trip to pick apples with the kids, the oldest being 18 down to 11. While on the road, I can see the reflection off her phone on the inside of the window. I can clearly see that she is on the hugger guy's social media, liking posts and sending messages. I don't mention it at that time. Later on that night, she is talking about her upcoming schedule and her volunteer work and that she's got a lot coming up. So I just throw it out that she can go see her boyfriend in a joking manner. She was dead silent. It was slightly uncomfortable and she got up and left. Later that night she got really defensive because she thought I had looked at her phone. I hadn't, which I thought was odd because she checks my phone and phone records to see who I called. I was now extremely suspicious and of course I checked her phone. She had recently deleted a large text string with the hugger. Over 300 messages back and forth to include a few selfies/flirty comments. I confronted her about it and she initially lied about it. When confronted with the fact I had seen the messages, she then tried to say it was about things for the non-profit. I then informed her it was not and sent her a screenshot of the shirtless selfie he'd sent her. She then goes into a long rant about how she didn't cheat but really refused to own it. From there it was just the silent treatment. We had about a 3-hour discussion yesterday about the whole thing. She admits it was poor judgment and claims she was only looking for a friend. I strongly disagree with that and made it known. The main issue: this isn't the first time this has happened. It occurred very early on in the relationship and the 2 more times later on. Every time it's the same refrain of I didn't cheat and I was lonely, like attention, etc. I've told her I can't and do not trust her at all. She's offered to resign her position there, but I think it's a little too late. For a quick background on the other instances. 2006, while I was overseas, she informed me she was lonely and thinking about sleeping with one of her coworkers. She claims nothing happened. 2008, she would get phone calls every morning prior to work that she claimed was a female coworker. I doubted this but had no proof. One day I logged onto a shared computer and she left an email up to this guy talking about how he missed how hot she looked that day. She claims only flirting. 2014, she was going back and forth with a guy on Facebook who was asking for explicit photos. I found out once again because she never closes her browser. Any insight is appreciated. I realize I should probably run as far and as fast as I can. What should I do? Is this even worth salvaging at this point? Write in the comments what you think about these stories. Subscribe to the channel. Love you.